Well everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Samsung Galaxy Z Flip 5 and compare it against the Z Flip 3 and see which specific Galaxy phone you should go and pick up. Now, I will tell you, the Z Flip 5 is a pretty decent improvement from the Flip 4, I would say. But the Flip 3, for it, for how cheap this phone is right now, like you can buy the Flip 3 for like $300 and something on Amazon for pretty much a third of the price of what the Flip 5 is selling for. And that might be a better option for probably a vast majority of people out there. So the choice is yours, but I will leave both these phones linked down in the description. You can get them from there and you can help support the channel at the same time. Now, starting off with the outside of both these phones, the Flip 3 on the front, on that cover display, you had a 1.9-inch Super AMOLED, display on the front, and it was a pretty good display. There really wasn't that much to kind of be, messed up with it. I mean, I liked it. There wasn't really too many problems with it either. And I do think, that cover display is okay. But when you flip it open, that's when you're getting that 6.7-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display. It's a pretty good display. Again, it has a crease in the middle, just like the Flip 5. So, I'm not the biggest fan of these flip phones, but again, it is a novelty and I'm sure some people like them. Now, I really do think going from the Flip 3 to the Flip 5 design-wise really is not that big of a change. It's not like you're getting like a way better screen or a way better experience. It's basically almost the same exact thing. With the Flip 5, on that cover display, it is a bigger display. So it's 3.4 inches. It's also a Super AMOLED, and it's a good looking display again. There's not really that much to hate on it, and I'm a fan of it. I think it looks great. But when you actually do flip it open, this is where things get a little bit more complicated. So you have that 6.7-inch foldable dynamic AMOLED display in this specific device too. Now, the thing that I mentioned before, the reason why this is a little complicated is because it is essentially the same display that we were getting on the Flip 3. Now, the Flip 5 does get a little bit brighter, so that is kind of a nice touch. But beyond that, you're basically getting the exact same experience between both. So I feel like that is kind of a weird thing that Samsung did. I feel like they should be changing this panel somehow or making it seem a little bit different. But it's almost the same exact thing. So hopefully Samsung changes it in the future, but that's basically how they kind of hold up, at least from the body standpoint. They both have USB-C ports on the bottom. They both have flat sides, which is a really nice touch. It makes the phone feel a lot more modern rather than having curved kind of sides. And on the back, depending on how you look at it, you have the display portion at the top, you have that frosted glass back and everything, dual camera setup as well. And again, they share a lot of the same features. You have things like wireless charging on both, you have reverse wireless charging on both as well. You actually have faster wireless charging on the Galaxy Z Flip 5, which is nice. And overall, I would say there's still a lot of overlap between these two devices. It's not like you're going to buy one over the other because of the exterior. I think you're really going to be buying one over the other because of the performance increase, or maybe even the fact that the Z Flip 5 is so much cheaper than the Flip 5, or the Flip 3 is cheaper than the Flip 5. So in terms of that and from that perspective alone, it's kind of up to you. But I definitely would say the Flip 5 on the outside is the better one here. But I would say that the Flip 3 is still doing a really, really good job. And definitely from that perspective alone, it gets a thumbs up for me for sure. So from that situation, that's kind of, how it covers it up there. Now, in terms of the actual, camera setups now, this is also a little bit of a different story. Actually, I'd say that tongue-in-cheek, there's pretty much the exact same thing going on here too. So we are getting dual camera setups on the outside of both of these phones. So we are getting wide and ultra-wide cameras from both these devices. So they're 4K at 60 cameras on the back. You are getting 4K at 30 on the front, which I think, again, is probably the thing where I look at both these devices as something like why hasn't Samsung improved these cameras yet? It has been years and they are still putting the same exact cameras on these devices. And this is probably the biggest area where I feel like Samsung could actually improve on a lot more within their Flip lineup, even their Fold lineup. They don't give the same camera systems to these devices as they do with their S series. And that might be because of the folding mechanism or because there's not enough room or whatever the case is. But I feel like they could be making some improvements. You're telling me for the last 2 years, they haven't been able to improve this camera that much? That is the problem that I have. They seem to be really focusing on that folding mechanism and not actually improving the cameras. And of course, the cameras are still great. You're still getting very, very good cameras between both. You're getting 4K at 30 on the front, which is really nice. But like I said, I do think there is a lot more room for improvement for Samsung. And I feel like that is kind of the problem and the issue that we're having with both of these devices. So I feel like with the Flip 3, it's probably the exact same camera as the Flip 5. Maybe you're getting improvements here and there with certain things, but I really don't think you're getting that big of jumps, between these two cameras, which is crazy because when I look at the Galaxy S21 and I look at the Galaxy S23, you can tell there's noticeable changes within the cameras. and these ones not so much. So hopefully things end up changing in the future, but as of right now, that's kind of how both these cameras hold up as of this point. Now, in terms of the actual software longevity, this is going to be a big asset for the Flip 5. That phone is probably going to be lasting at least like 2 years longer than the Flip 3. So that is something that's just going to probably happen with that device. You are going to be getting a longer lasting phone from the Flip 5 than the Flip 3. This is just what happens. It happens, year over year over year. And that's exactly how I expect that to happen with these devices. Now, the Flip 3 could end up lasting an extra year or two, but that's not going to change the Flip 5. It's still going to be a long-lasting phone from the Flip 5, and it's going to be a longer-lasting phone than the Flip 3 for sure. In terms of performance, you are basically getting, in this specific situation, a pretty big performance jump. So with the Flip 3, you were getting that Qualcomm Snapdragon 888 chipset inside with 8GB of RAM. With the Flip 5, you're getting that Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipset inside with 8GB of RAM inside of that device. That is a pretty big jump from performance, in my opinion. You are going from a really good chipset already on the Flip 3 to a much faster, to probably the fastest chipset on a mobile device right now on the Z Flip 5. So I will say with the Flip 3, you're still going to be able to play all sorts of different games and do pretty much anything you'd ever want to on that device. Like, that is still a very fast phone. My Galaxy S21 that I use still sometimes, that device still feels very fast and still feels like it has a lot of power and momentum. And that thing has the same chipset as this one, as the Flip 3. So that phone still feels very fast, and so does the Z Flip 3. With the Flip 5, this is also a very good performing phone for sure. Like, this is a very, very good performing phone. It just so happens that because the Galaxy S23 has already came out earlier this year, it's already cheaper than the Flip 5, and that one has the same chipset as this, so you might as well just go and buy that one over this one, in my opinion. But this is still a very, very good performing phone, and again, from that perspective alone, it gets a thumbs up from me as well. I think Samsung knocked it out of the park from the performance standpoint with this device, and that is something that I really do like about this phone, from that perspective too. So battery life wise, this is another very interesting thing. You are getting a bigger size battery on the Flip 5, about 400 milliamp hours more on the Flip 5 than the Flip 3. So that is actually a really good asset that you are getting from the Flip 5 over the Flip 3, and that is something that I actually do like about that device as well. So to kind of sum up this whole entire video, what I'll tell you is I definitely do think that a device like the Samsung Galaxy Flip 5 gets a thumbs up from me for sure. It's a good phone, and it's a better phone than the Flip 3. But if you already have the Flip 3, I would not go up to a Flip 5. But also, if you're not coming from either one of these phones, or there's not a reason why you need to have or own either one of these phones, you are so much better off buying something like a Samsung Galaxy S23 or a Samsung Galaxy S22 or something along those lines. It just doesn't really make any sense to purchase these phones. I think they're very overpriced for what you're getting. The cameras just aren't as great as their S series, and you're just better off buying those ones over any of their Z phones, in my opinion. So take that as you will. That's just my opinion. But these phones are still great, but I think Samsung's probably done a better job with their S series than their Z series. So that pretty much covers it up there. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.